to do the clap thing for the audio. There you go. Someone needs to clap for the audio spikes that she can sync it to the video file.
Oh, I don't know what.
Hey, feeling good.
Cool. Well, hey there, neighbors. Welcome to our Missionary podcast. Yep. This is a podcast, and I don't know what else to say. Yep.
Yeah. Why don't we introduce ourselves? Because they may not know who we are. We know who we are. Hopefully.
I don't think I ever know who I am, really. My opinion changes daily on what flavor ice cream I want, so.
True.
Yeah.
Gosh.
So, who are you then?
Well,
Eve?
my name is Alexandra. I'm 20 years old, and I'm from Washington State, and I'm one of the missionaries who works here. And, yeah, let's pass it over to Ronan.
I am Ronan. I'm 20, and I'm also a missionary. I like cats.
Yes, I'm Bethany. I loathe cats, and I am 22.
I thought you liked dogs more.
I know. I do. Well, I like dogs for sure, but it wouldn't be a comparison of more because I don't like cats at all.
You don't like cats at all?
Correct.
Wait, but you just said you like cats.
No, I said I loathe cats.
Yeah.
I didn't know you loathe cats.
Yeah.
You keep calling me on the phone saying, "Oh, there's a cat in the park."
Yeah, because I'm not going to engage in... Yeah.
Cats in parks.
Yeah, our cat in the park across the street. Our park got shut down. Holla quarantine.
Caution tape all over the playground equipment. It's like a murder scene or something.
Pretty cool.
It is, yeah.
Feels like the zombie apocalypse or something.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of nice. What would be your number one weapon going into the zombie apocalypse? It had to be a man-made object that's normal that you'd find in your kitchen. Go. Not a knife.
A machete.
What?
I don't even know. I don't know. You chop up onions with it or something.
I suppose. Yeah, I see what you're saying. The butcher knife thing.
Yeah.
Those are kind of like machetes. Ronan.
In my kitchen?
Yeah.
Not a knife.
Correct.
Maybe like a fire extinguisher.
Oh, I didn't think about that one. What do you do with that? Just hit people with it?
Well, you could disorient them and then hit them over the head. But
Oh, yeah, I suppose it's kind of like a 2-in-1.
would you bring to the zombie apocalypse, though?
So here's the deal. I was praying about what topic we're going to talk about in our podcast, and the only thing that was coming to mind was health. A lot of people right now are pumping the hand sanitizer by the gallon. And okay, so with health though, I was like, well, there's a lot to do with health. In what regard will we talk about it? And so the 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 20 and 21, says, "Do you not know that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit within you, whom you have from God, and that you are not your own? For you have been purchased at a price. Therefore, glorify God in your body." So my question for us, I suppose, is what does it mean to glorify our bodies, specifically in regards to staying healthy? What is too far? Are we supposed to be out vigorously exercising every single day and turning all our diets to organic food, or are we allowed to or eat a little bit more ice cream since it's kind of panic mode and we're
Panic eating.
Yes, panic
in your
eating, binge
pantry.
eating, bored eating.
Right.
Since we have nothing else to do really in our homes except go through the refrigerator.
Yeah.
Or watch Netflix. I don't know, where does that balance lie?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, with anything, like you saying, the word, balance, neither being in one side or the other, virtue is in the middle, right?
Mm-hmm.
The virtue of temperance and the virtue of, all those others,
yeah,
it's in the middle. So, I would say, moderation, and noticing, where am I causing excess in my life, whether it be social media, food, laziness, all those things are, not good for us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. What would you say, Ronan?
Mm-hmm.
In the context of now, like with the virus,
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a tricky line because it's like, it's not as if you have to, act 100%, like carefully, like you're just going to completely isolate yourself, not, talk to anyone or anything.
Mm.
That would be imprudent.
Right.
But at the same time, you are possibly putting people at risk, if you're going to maybe infect someone or be infected. So it's like, okay, well, say there's a X% chance that I'm going to get infected and therefore infect someone who may be at risk of dying. Am I morally culpable, say, for going out and getting my mail? Probably not. Am I morally culpable for going out and walking my dog? Probably not. Am I morally culpable for going to the grocery store? Probably not. Maybe. Like, it's tricky because, it's possible that you're putting yourself in a circumstance where someone could possibly die. But that doesn't mean that you can't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, well, how do you deal with this? Because on the one hand, you've got the moral responsibility of making sure that I'm not potentially endangering anyone's lives.
Right.
I think like the part where you draw the line is, okay, is it getting to the point where I'm now being so scrupulous in, my fear of infecting people that I am detracting from the value of life as God has given it to me and others? So if you just ask yourself that question about every sphere of your life, okay. So going to the grocery store, if you're doing it to get some extra food, maybe that's not a morally good choice.
Mm-hmm.
If you're doing it to get food that you need, maybe that is a good choice.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Going to pick up pizza or something.
Yeah.
That's not necessary.
Yeah.
I don't think you'd be morally culpable right now if you got a pizza.
True, but pizza, that kind of, I don't know, that brings me back to like the what we were talking about in the beginning. I don't know, I've been particularly thinking about that. How am I glorifying God by my body, specifically during this time, because I haven't left the house a lot. I haven't exercised or gone to the gym like I normally do. I've kind of stopped caring as much to what I eat. And really, like, I think so often that's blown off as like, it's a sin that doesn't really matter. Like gluttony, laziness, like it's in the 7 deadly sins, but I feel like it's just so immersed in our culture that things like gluttony, like eating excessively, are seen as okay or just not really a big deal. But like oftentimes the reason why we are falling to those things is because of like we're trying to numb something. We go into the kitchen, we look at the fridge, and we just look at the food, and what are we doing? We're not actually hungry. We're not actually in need of something. Like our body isn't in need, but we are just trying to numb whatever that is. Like for me, sometimes I feel anxious or overwhelmed, and so I turn to that, right? It's like it's a numbing thing, and that could be social media or Netflix or whatever it be. It's these things that we're going to numb ourselves of this anxiety or this feeling of being overwhelmed, that turning to those things. Now, they're not bad in and of themselves, don't get me wrong. Like, I don't think snacking is evil or watching a couple episodes on Netflix is evil. But look at, why am I doing this? Could I be doing something different during this time? And the other day I was sitting on the couch and I was going through social media, honestly. And it was around the time that I could have been going to the church to go to adoration. I was sitting on my living room couch and I was just scrolling, and it was just, I realized like the feeling that I had. I stopped on one picture and just realized it was just like meaningless. It had no meaning. It wasn't doing anything for me. And I put it down and I was like, why aren't I in church right now? Like, why am I not praying? I have nothing else to do. I haven't gone yet today. Why am I choosing this over going and praying? That was that being hooked into this or eating or whatever it may be was relieving and numbing. It was like numbing something. So all I would be immersed in was that scrolling. What I really needed to do at that moment was go to the church and bring that anxiety, bring that nervousness to God, and bring that feeling of defeat, right? Because like I'm sure our listeners will probably agree, like a lot of things have been canceled in our lives, and a lot of things have been taken away from us.
Bishop Barron brought this up in something recently, and I think Father linked to it in one of his blog posts. But yeah, it's like, what's that quote from Blaise Pascal? It's something to the effect of, all of humanity's problems can be traced to the fact that no one is willing to sit in a room quietly alone. But like, now particularly, since we don't have as much to do, like, people are going to be tempted to just throw stuff, be it if it's food, if it's music, even if it's doing something possibly somewhat productive. Like, people are just going to want to inundate their consciousness with something to avoid silence. The first time I really I just sat in silence and I just accepted, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna shut up for 5 minutes. It felt like I was about to jump in front of a train. It was so scary. Because I had just been suppressing these feelings, these emotions that my conscience had been bringing up for so long. And silence can legitimately be scary if you're avoiding, something that that you should be thinking about. So I think that a lot of people will be tempted in this time of isolation to just, again, inundate their consciousness and not think about the big questions of life. I think Bishop Barron might have talked about it where this is the time to ask yourself the big questions. Why am I here? What's the purpose of life? What am I doing here?
Right.
Where am I going? What happens after I die? This is the perfect time to tackle those questions, reevaluate your life, and maybe take a turn if you're not going in the right direction.
Right. Because we're stripped of all these things that we may have been putting our identity in, we may have been seeing as the most important, all these different things that we may have held to such a important level of our life are now stripped away, and now we have to be with ourselves, be vulnerable with ourselves, and ask those questions. It is an excellent time. And I mean, honestly, if you think about the devil doesn't want you to do that, right? He doesn't want us. He wants us to be numbing ourselves right now. He wants us to be filling ourselves up so we don't sit down and ask ourselves the important questions, and so we don't use this opportunity to unite ourselves to God, because that's what this is. This is an opportunity to unite ourselves with God more deeply than we ever have before.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm actually falling into the opposite side of that, where I am embracing this opportunity to go to adoration and using that more as an oasis away from looking at my actual problems. I'm finding myself sitting in the pew and staring at Jesus, and for a lot of times it's joyfully adoring him or kind of contemplating what's happening with this quarantine, but a lot of times it's just sitting there getting annoyed with him. Why are you doing this? And I wouldn't call it complaining, but I would call it sulking. I'm sulking a lot, and not really knowing. It's almost like so much time of silence is turning my mind to negative thinking. So I don't know if silence is good for me or if I'm even doing it right. How do you do silence right? Does silence just mean you sit there without literally talking and your mind's allowed to think? Or do you literally have to silence your mind in order to hear silence?
It's the latter.
What does that mean?
Well, it's I don't know if you guys watched Father's live stream last night, the Wednesday prayer thing, but after he talked about the scripture thing, he said that there's 3 trajectories that can take place in prayer. It's you end up with just an internal dialogue of you're just talking to yourself and you come to a conclusion by yourself.
Mm.
The second trajectory is so you start off like you're talking with yourself, and then you bring it to God and you say, okay, God, like I'm thinking this, I'm going through this, what do you say about this? And then the third one is it's just God, like he's just talking to you and you're just listening. So like it's the second and third ones that you want to shoot for. You either want to be talking to God or listening to God. Because that's the communion part. Whereas if you're just thinking, like you're just in your head and you're just going through thoughts, that's not true silence. You can definitely be quiet, like even without any distractions, and just be pushing ideas through your head and not actually being present in silence. So that is a very important distinction. But yeah, I mean, there's a line you have to draw. It's not like we should be silent 24/7 just because we can. Because that can be unhealthy for some people. I mean, particularly for extroverts, they need social interaction and stuff.
They need to bounce it off other people. Yeah, I've experienced that definitely before. Like, it feels like sometimes when I sit down to prayer, it feels like my brain is a dresser and my thoughts are all in drawers. Like, all my different things that I'm thinking about are in drawers. And I'm just like, okay, God, I'm going to open up this drawer and we're going to unpack it and we're going to just think about this one thing. And then I'll go halfway through that thought and open up the other drawer and then start unpacking it. And then open up the other drawer and start unpacking in that one too. And then wound up like 40 minutes later, there's just a huge mess all over the brain's floor of thoughts. And it's all a mess, and I don't know what outfit I was looking for anyway, and it's just like I'm just more overwhelmed than I was before. It's difficult because you go in there seeking peace, seeking silence, and you come out sometimes just feeling more like messy than you were before. I mean, before all the thoughts were packed away and like in their place, and now they're all out in the open, and I don't know what to do with it now.
It's an internal dialogue, and there's not actually any communion with God.
Yeah, and it's me trying to figure out my own thoughts.
Which isn't going to lead to anything.
No, because I'm just going to get more confused, because who knows what I'm thinking. Yeah.
I mean, sometimes there's stuff that you just need to you just need to think. But yeah, I mean, a lot of the time we need to be in dialogue with God about these things. So
yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's like the lady we talked to last night on our way home from adoration. She kept talking about how we fly into the wind. Sorry, I've lost my train of thought. Zimbabwe. Basically, she was talking about how materialistic, we care a lot about what we look like, we care a lot about what other people think, we buy things all the time, and although, as Zam was saying earlier, those things in and of themselves are not bad, but it becomes bad when that becomes our God, when we look to those things instead of the King. And she was saying, you know what? God is giving us a time out right now. He's giving us a time out to look inward, okay? And that time of silence is going to bring us in closer union with Jesus. Because God did not leave us alone. God did not leave us to be self-sufficient by ourselves, human beings. He created us with more than one person. He created us in a community. He himself is community as the Trinity.
What's coming to mind is like the quote from Mother Teresa of Calcutta, where she's like, don't go, I'm going to misquote it a little bit because I don't know the full thing, but don't go off and be a missionary in Calcutta or China or wherever, go home and love your family. Where have I been failing in whatever relationship? Like, where have I not been communicating? Where have I, where's our areas that we could be growing in? Because, again, this is a perfect opportunity to take up this time and to grow in these relationships, make them stronger than they were before.
Well there, neighbors, thank you for joining us today during this podcast video session. Yes. I don't know why I'm screaming because the microphone is right here, as you can see. Actually, I don't know if you could see that or not.
Maybe.
But, yeah. So basically, we're going to be trying to do this podcast, God willing, every week. We just thank you for being here, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Smash that like button!
Oh my gosh! Yes! Do it.
Yep.
Like Ronan's
Do
doing.
it as aggressively as you please.
Also, so you can watch Mass.
But, yeah, man. So, boom chakalaka, Zimbabwe.
We need to like a sign off thing.
Missionary signing off.
That is terrible.
No! I love it when you make it super easy.
No, it's,
Okay.
it's really
Missionary Zan signing off. Missionary Ronan signing off. Missionary Bethany signing off.
I think they'll love it. Okay, cool.
So, wait.
So,
We do need a sign off of
Yeah.
some kind though. Let's harmonize goodbye. We'd be like,
good.
I think we could maybe do that.
yeah, I'll start it. 'Cause goodbye. Oh.
No.
What do we say? Like, I always like how Spider-Man said, "friendly neighborhood Spider-Man." We say, "These are your friendly neighborhood missionaries."
Signing off.
These are your friendly neighborhood missionaries signing off.
Yeah, you say, "We're your friendly neighborhood missionaries signing off."
And then the thumbs up.
Till next time.
With a really cheesy, like... Oh, Ronan, can you do it in your, like... announcer
Oh, yeah,
voice,
announcer
please?
voice.
Oh yeah, what should I announce?
Wait, but we all have to do it at the same time. The thumbs up.
Okay.
Okay.
Signing off.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
We're your friendly. Oh, Start over. Okay.
One more go around.
We're your friendly neighborhood missionaries signing off.
Woo!